gotta hit the button. Let's go. Let's do this. We're doing it.
Wow, you've been doing it for 20 seconds. What do you mean?
I don't know. It hasn't even been 20 seconds.
Why does it say? Does yours say that?
No, mine says 13, 14, 15, 16.
Mine's at 35.
How is yours at 35 seconds? I just hit the button.
That's why I'm like, wait.
What? It's a little creepy
Yeah.
that it's pre-recording already a few seconds early on yours. Okay.
So good luck on, like, listening.
All right. Hi, welcome to Chaos and Cats. You good? Okay,
Yes.
you looked away like...
Henry's just doing weird things over there. You know, just Henry things. Sorry.
Hi, welcome to Chaos and Cats. There's no semblance of order to this thing. My name is Kaylee.
And I'm Laura.
And we're probably going to have our usual special guests of Henry and Rudo today. We both have two cats, but the only ones that make main appearances are Henry on Laura's end. Laura has two cats. We both have an orange cat. Her little orange demon is Henry. And my little orange demon is Daruk. And then I've got my sweet little Siamese, Rudo. And remind me of your other cat's name.
Harley.
Harley. Yeah.
She's a black and white cat. She's a tuxedo.
She's a little tuxedo. She's so cute. I love a tuxedo. I love a tuxedo.
Honestly, me too, but they be screaming.
Yeah, don't worry, that's the Siamese for you. And I looked up, like, most talkative, like, breeds, and tuxedos are definitely up there. And then the number one is Siamese, and I was like...
I know. Mark wants a Siamese, and I'm like, I can't do another one.
I love her to death. I will say, she's good at communicating. She's real good at communicating. Even Nick has said, like, she is... like the first cat he's had that's like so she communicates so fucking well with us when she wants something. And now that he's taken the time to learn what her meows mean, he understands her a lot more. So he understands when she wants certain things a lot more, which I think is adorable because they both used to hate each other basically. But then one day the bonds started forming and they like each other now. They love each other. They love each other. They'll sit there and say, I like them. But I sit there and say, no, you guys love each other.
You guys love each other. Look at you
that.
too.
You can't give me that. Let's see if we can find a good cat fact here.
Cat facts. Cat facts.
Cat facts. Cat facts.
Cat facts.
Cat facts.
Think about it, sir. You're not usually let in here for a... Hey.
Oh.
Hey, get down.
Is Dad's room usually off limits?
Yes, it has a bit more breakable things in here.
That's why he's got to get something that's not going to damage, but will help stick it in place, so that way it can't get knocked over.
It's true. It's funny though, because I think he wanted to go to the window, which is currently covered by a blanket right now, and he wanted to go but he had to climb through all this stuff to get there, and then I yelled at him, he laid back down like, fucking fine. I have a cat fact.
What do you got for a cat fact, Laura?
I went to the Basement Yard live show, and it was fantastic.
That's right. Yep.
And I don't know how it came about because they talk about random shit all the time, but apparently cats' whiskers are made for balance. So if you
so it's a sensor basically. They're basically yes, so they help with balance, but they're also like a sensor, so they can like kind of so one of the basic rules is that a cat can fit through any space their whiskers can fit through, basically, like the width of their whiskers.
Okay, I always heard it was
that to be able to get through small tight spaces. And then they're also something that's used for like their balance. There are nerves in their little whiskies. Not, I don't think like major nerves, but there are like some nerves in there, which help them to be able to sense things with their little whiskers. See, you guys can't see it, but I'm like moving my fingers around my face for Laura to show like the whisker area. This is where my whiskers would come out if I had whiskers.
It would be huge.
But yeah, they're kind of they're essentially able to be used for like their balance and stuff.
I was fully unaware because sometimes I will find like a random whisker.
Yes, they do shed their whisker.
And I'm like, first of all, this is disgusting. It is like a weird texture because it's thicker than I thought.
Let's see. So yeah, they're body balancers. Cats have special sensory organs called proprioceptors, located at the base of their whiskers. The proprioceptors send messages to the brain about the position of the body and limbs, keeping the cats aware of what every part of the body is doing. This is part of the reason why cats almost always land on their feet. And there are little whiskers behind their front paws as well that help with things like that.
That is so cute.
So they also, just like any other form of hair, they collect dust and stuff like that, keeping it from getting in their eyes and stuff. But yeah, you do have to be careful with them. So a good portion of the cat's brain is devoted to processing data from touch sensors, which are reliable. Whiskers are reliable touch sensors, and almost 40% of the brain's sensory area aligns with body parts that have whiskers. Each individual whisker can be traced back to a specific spot in the brain, which means that whiskers occupy valuable neurological real estate in the feline body. This all comes from vcahospitals.com. Just a little article that they got. But yeah.
I really just had no idea that they were of that.
You didn't know that. I had never shared that one yet, or at least I hadn't gotten to it yet. Because I was like, yeah, we'll get to it eventually. Most people know, like, I feel like whiskers are, you know.
I mean, I'd assumed they were important, otherwise they wouldn't have them. But
Nick always makes the joke of chopping off their whiskers to watch them get all off balanced, and I'm like, you can't do that. Like, you can't do that. Please, he's not gonna do that. I promise. He jokes.
It's just a fun threat.
I promise. He's not gonna cut our cat's whiskers. Please don't come at us. But yeah, so that's just a fun little thing. Oh, so fun thing. By this point, you guys are probably gonna hear it in a lot of episodes. I'm gonna touch on this now, but by the time this episode comes out, you guys are gonna have already been driven crazy by it. I apologize for any excessive clicking in the background of some previous episodes. It's my husband playing his video games. We so kindly allowed him to stay in and sit in while we record some episodes. You know, I let him be a little... what is the term? Now it's blank. Now I'm blanking on the term.
I guess I'm not sure where you're going with it. So can't help.
Audience member that speaks up without
what?
Someone who speaks up without being asked to.
The peanut gallery?
Yeah, thank you. Struggling on that one. We allowed him to come in and be the peanut gallery and stuff, you know, make his little comments and jokes in the background. And I was editing one of the episodes the other day, and I am so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. I did my best to edit it out as much as I can, but there are definitely parts where it's just...
What is happening?
Just clicking. over and over and over again in the background. And I'm like, what is happening? What is that? What is that noise? It's not me. I don't click that much. I'm like, I know you guys hear my mouse click here every once in a while, especially when I'm sharing my stuff. You can hear my mouse clicking. Yeah, whatever, not a big deal. But I was like, oh, that is bad. That is bad. It's my husband. I'm sorry. He was playing video games right next to me.
Yes,
and I didn't realize my mic was picking it up so well. So yeah, there's that.
Wow, this is very loud. This is just me setting down my lighter.
Yeah, I can hear it.
That's wild. I better be careful what I be doing in here.
But we don't even have the best mics out on the market. We just have Blue Yetis, which are decent mics for beginners. Like, especially if you get like one of their cheaper ones. We have like one of their cheaper end like mics. But you know what? They do the job for beginners because our original mics were, whew. Those are $20 Amazon mics, which my husband will use sometimes. And ooh, those are rough. So be glad we upgraded to these ones for this podcast. And eventually one day maybe we'll get even nicer, fancier mics. But for now, these do the job. And they work well enough. The only problem is that Laura has too empty of space in her office, so hers gets a bit echoey. But other than that,
it's pretty good lately.
We work with it. It's not that bad. It's gotten better recently, you know. Today she's in Mark's office, so
we should be all set. No problem.
There's not going to be any major like weird audio coming from
I guess we don't really know because setting up the audio today was
we did have to do some troubleshooting, but all we had to do was figure out why it wasn't sourcing your headphones. But that's okay.
We figured out a loophole.
We figured it out. I don't understand why my camera is so fucking like blurry looking today. It's me sidetracking, but it looks just so blurry today.
I mean, Mark has like a full-on webcam.
Oh no, I believe that. I need to get a nicer webcam.
It's actually kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Also, look at these baddies.
I have been looking at them. They look so cute. They look so
and they're like a purpley fairy
purple
color lavender. They're so pretty because I went to Florida recently for a few days. It was a very last minute trip, but my stepmom did like a Airbnb or VRBO or whatever, and I got my nails done. Yeah. From like a lady there, and honestly, these are the best nails I've ever had. So I apparently am just gonna need to take a quick flight to Florida whenever I need
to Florida. Yeah,
because I can't find anyone that good around here. She was awesome, and she was so sweet. She didn't speak a whole lot of English, but she used like Google Translate, which is a lot better than you just trying to speak English. And I'm like, what? At
least she tried to communicate with you like properly. Yeah,
cute too, so adorable.
That's awesome.
But I'm just excited about them.
That's awesome. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Now I gotta find someone who can meet her level around this place where there's nothing.
Good luck.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
That's why I do my own nails. Yep, I get it. So,
but I mean, I guess that's what I've been up to. I went to Florida for a few days.
I was gonna say, wow, you went on a little trip to Florida, you know?
Yeah, I have another little story, but I don't know if I should share that now or later. I guess it depends. What are you feeling?
I mean, you can share it now. What is the story?
Well, I ended up taking like a voice note and sending it to Mark. So the original is probably better than me reiterating it, but I will reiterate it anyways. And it's funny because this house is wild. Okay, so it was like my door opened up into this indoor-outdoor space. It was like indoor. I mean, it was like outdoor, but it had a screen over it and a hot tub in it. Okay. And so I let my door open while I was in the hot tub, and I got out and went inside or whatever, and I was getting ready for bed. And I see this little lizard on the floor of my room. And I would say this lizard's like altogether 6 or 7 inches, you know, and it looks cute. A little honestly see-through, so you could like almost see his organs. He was real cool.
A little translucent.
Yeah. However, I saw him. He saw me. And my first thought is, I need like a plate
looked
to
at him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me.
And it was sheer panic on both of our ends, that's for sure. Even though it's cute, we don't really have lizards in Massachusetts. We have salamanders. That's like as far as it gets.
Basically, we don't really get them in Maine either.
No. So I was like, I don't want you in here while I'm sleeping, but I can't go get a plate because it's all the way in the kitchen, and by then you'll be gone. And so I didn't want to pick it up by its head because I don't know what these lizards got going on in Florida.
Also, I didn't want to never pick them up by the tail because a lot of them dislodge their tails. So
see, that's where the story gets interesting because I didn't want to pick it up by its body because I got these nails on and I have no faith in them. I don't know what I'm doing with these things. I literally thought I might stab it. So I pick it up by his tail.
Yeah. Yep.
And I am just about to be out the door with him when he detaches his tail and lands on the ground in my room still. And I'm just holding like an inch of tail and it's disgusting. So I whip it on the ground because that's disgusting. And then I'm like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Because now I'm sad and terrified all at the same time because I didn't mean to hurt this thing. So I ran
totally natural. It's completely natural.
I know, but I didn't mean to make it fear me. I was just putting it outside.
Laura, perspective. Okay, perspective time. Teeny tiny little 6-7 inch lizard and a 5'7" human being picks you up off the ground by your tail. Yeah, I'm gonna dislodge that shit and fucking run.
It was disgusting. And I know that is a thing that happens, but it wasn't on my brain because, like I said, we don't got lizards around here. So I ended up getting a tissue and scooping him up, and he was pissed. He started freaking out.
Blame him. He just had to dislodge his tail because of you.
I didn't tell him to do that, all right?
You put him in a situation where he needed to.
He should be able to feel vibes, all right? It's terrified, but you are not going to be eaten. So I put him outside, and then I had to pick up the tail because it's just hanging out on my floor. And so I pick it up, and it's still fucking moving around. And I literally flushed it because I was like, I can't have this in my trash can just flopping around over here. And I felt bad because I probably should have put it outside with him. So it's like, truce, I didn't mean to, jeez. But I flushed that shit. But it was like 10 or 11 at night, and my stepmom's right next door. So I'm like silently screaming this whole time, and just the feeling alone on my fingers of a loose tail in my hands was disgusting. This is my.
I love that you were like, I didn't want to pick it up by the head, didn't want to hurt it, and then I'm like immediately interject, well, and you can't pick it up by its tail because it'll just let go. And the look on your face just told me everything I needed to know. Oh, okay, I know exactly where this story is going. Please proceed, because... Yep.
I felt so bad because I did look it up, and it does say that, like, this can be kind of painful for them, like, the growing process, and I'm like, I am so sorry, but also you're disgusting.
Laura, I'm sorry. I was just sitting here, I pull my drink over, and it looks like pee on camera.
Kaylee's just drinking pee, man. I'm ripping off lizards' tails. Kaylee's drinking pee. Wild stuff.
I told you, things are unhinged over here. I promise it's not that yellow looking in real life. It's more like skin tone looking. Because it's peach flavored. So it's more of like...
Yeah, why is it so yellow then?
I don't know why it's coming through. So yellow.
Mine's lemonade.
Mine's peach,
and it's clear.
And it's peachy colored. It's like a peachy colored drink, but on the camera it looks like piss.
Really dehydrated piss, honestly.
Exactly. Really bad, gross piss. So there's that.
Like that, you took a piss and it stanks in there, you know?
Oh god, that's great. Well, I'm sorry that you had a traumatizing experience with that lizard. Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was a good time.
I would have gone into it knowing don't pick him up by his tail because I have that knowledge drilled into my brain because I ran the aquatics and the reptile department at Petco for a while, and I worked at another little pet store. So I was used to being around lizards, and one of the cardinal rules with lizards, any lizard really, is don't grab it by its tail. Just don't grab a lizard by its tail. You don't know if they can dislodge or not, and if they do, you don't want to have to experience the horror of them dislodging their tail, because it happens so quick.
He flopped to the ground so fast.
But and my brain doesn't comprehend how that works, that you just dislodge a limb. I'm like, it doesn't hurt? Like, are you in pain?
I read that it can hurt, and then growing it back also can hurt.
Yeah, it takes a while for them to grow back.
Yeah, it's like
real gross snubby butts for a while.
Weeks. Yeah. Also, like, if there's a creature out there with the possibility of being able to detach something and then grow something else back, why haven't we, like, taken that genetic little fun little tidbit and used it on ourselves?
I don't understand why we aren't researching lizards more, but then again, they do say there are lizard people out there, so they do say we've got, like, a whole government run by lizard people, so, you know.
Honestly, at this point, I could care less. Just leave me alone.
Literally, just leave me alone. Leave me alone.
However, I did read that Alabama made it a law that they turned, like, IVF, like, embryos into humans, into people, and so their new law is, like, closing down all these IVF places, like, trying to let, and they won't let the people who have their embryos in there take their quote-unquote children that they are claiming that these things are to go out of state and then continue their procedure. And they won't let people who already have had this procedure and are pregnant to continue to take the hormones that they need to take in order to continue to be pregnant, which makes no sense because then you could possibly just killing a baby. So basically, Alabama's fucking shit up real hardcore right now. Like, an embryo is a baby that's been frozen, and they don't want it to freeze.
It's always an embryo at that point. Half the time it's just your eggs.
Yeah, and they don't want you to do any freezing or something because we wouldn't freeze a person. Blah, blah, blah.
Yes, you would. There's plenty of research showing us doing scientific experiments to be able to freeze bodies so we can bring them back.
That's literally a whole conspiracy about Walt Disney, alright? So
he was not frozen. No.
I'm just saying, it's a conspiracy.
But I know, it's one of the conspiracies about him. But yeah. But
and I might be butchering that whole Alabama thing, but it's the general concept of...
You gave me the gist. The gist. It's okay. I saw someone was talking about, they made a joke out of it, and someone was talking about this abortion clinic that's being built somewheres, and there were a bunch of protesters and stuff, and they wanted it torn down, blah, blah, blah. And so the people on the side of the building so basically the protesters were just like, let's tear it down, blah, 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 like, someone else was saying, well, it's an abortion clinic, it's the only, like, we can't just tear it down, like, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And they were like, well, it's not an abortion clinic yet. So it's still being built, so tear it down. And then, so now there's this argument of kind of the whole concept being reversed of the people who are against abortion now being like, well, it's not a thing yet. So they're talking about, something not being real before conception, or like at the beginning stages, like it not being real. And then the other side being like, no, it already is. It's already a thing. It already exists. It was an abortion clinic when we started building it. It's going to be an abortion clinic. And so it was just this whole funny thing. I was like,
I love that. I
love how the turns have tabled.
Arguments around that. I was actually watching this little clip that was very similar because this woman was holding a sign about, nobody should be killing God's children and blah, 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 and God would never want something like that. The interview goes up and was like, is this the same God who killed all firstborn children in Egypt? And like gave the microphone to her, and she was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
No, because you don't want to face the realities of your fucking hypocrisy and that you all pick and choose what to believe in when it's convenient for you.
I mean, in religion and laws should never go hand in hand because there's like a million religions. So you're...
Well, look at where we are in our country.
Tell me about it. Although, good news, I did see, I don't remember in what state, but I think they elected an entire women's and mostly women of color, like, councilwoman or something, and I was like, that was really cool. And her speech was kind of funny, too, because she was shitting on people, because she was like, white men have been doing this, and it's all been white men for about 170 years, and now all of a sudden they're worried about like diversity because there's no white men in this group. And she was like, well, my thoughts and prayers go out to you. And like just fucking with them, and it's just
like, I love this. Like literally though there's no diversity in here because there's no white people.
Yeah.
I don't understand the problem. What's the problem? That seems very diverse because there's no fucking white people.
Yeah. I am honestly so excited for the our generation and the generations coming up being older, and the older generations for more or less no longer being.
Excited and terrified. I'm excited and terrified.
Yeah, I agree, but I see so much good from like the people I work with that are younger and those generations, and it's just like the acceptance, the love, the wants for like betterness is awesome. It's just those people are the ones that need to go into office. So.
Well, and I think it's so funny. I hear so much throughout the day, like people just being like, "Oh, this new generation, this younger generation doesn't want to work." I'm like, no. They're just finally putting their foot down and being like, we're not going to be paid such shit pay and not be able to live our lives. Like, this is bullshit. Just because you, when you were 20, were able to buy a house, a brand new car, a boat, maybe even a cabin on the lake, doesn't mean that's what we can do. We can't afford that. There is a huge disparity between pay and what we get to spend. Like cost of living and what we have to spend every fucking day. It's insane. But in their eyes, it's laziness. And I'm like, no, it's a fucked up system. And you sit there and you say, the system isn't working, blah, blah, blah. And I look at you and I go, no, it's working exactly how they designed it to work. And the younger generations are finally putting their foot down and trying to make change again. Because you had to do it in your generation, or like maybe not our parents, but like their parents, you know, like suck it up and deal with it because change has to happen. You're just mad because you're the ones that literally caused all of the shit that we're now dealing with, and you don't want to accept it.
It's ridiculous, honestly.
We're gonna stop talking about this
political podcast.
We're not a political podcast. That's our feelings on that. You now know where we stand on politics. It's called Let Us Be Able to Afford a Life. Stop fucking with my individual choices.
Have equal rights, equitable rights. Thanks. Much appreciated.
Yeah, exactly. God, it's fucking crazy.
Now that we're 30 minutes in, what have you been up to?
Not much. I've been on vacation. I haven't really been doing much at all. So
that kind of feels nice, though.
Today is my last day, and I'm just so sad.
Aww.
I'm so sad. I have to go back to work tomorrow. I really don't want to fucking go back to work tomorrow. But it has to happen because I have bills to pay and a life to not live.
Yes, so if anybody likes this podcast, spread it out. So tell everyone so we can make a living off of this instead.
I don't know why I'm using this torch, especially because it's dead. I have a perfectly good lighter right here.
You were waiting for it to work.
it's really fucked because it got like Nick bought this to use in the kitchens that he was working in. And it ended up being a defective one, and all the plastic started like melting around it. So he like requested to return it, and they were like, "You don't even have to return it. Like, we'll just send you a new one because that's not supposed to happen." And the other one he has, it never melted or anything. So I think he just got a defective one, basically.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, no, I've just been on vacation. I haven't had much going on. Hello?
Yeah, Jesus.
Can you hear me now?
It's like, oh, device not recognized, even though we've been for an hour. And then everything on the side wouldn't let me change anything, so I was like, I'm just leaving. I'll be back.
Yeah, I was like, can you hear me? You didn't respond, nothing. You were just like, bye.
Like,
bye. I was like, okay, I guess she couldn't hear me, guys.
I was trying to ask if you could hear me, and it didn't seem like it.
I could at the end there, and then I was telling you I could hear you, but I don't think you could hear me.
Oh, 1000% no. No.
Oh my goodness.
So sorry. I don't know.
Alright, so I guess that's the sign that we should just get into this. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? I don't remember who went first last time.
I don't care either way.
Do you got a detailed one for it? Like a long one, short one? What are you thinking?
Well, I'll save that story for another episode. Just because we're already 4 or 5 minutes in, I'll save it. But I have a long-ish one. I didn't read all of it.
Oh, I don't always read through everything either. I tend to just skim it and go, yeah, it's good enough.
Yeah, but
and then I'm reading through it, I'm like, I should have read this whole article, but whatever.
It's for real, though. But
okay.
So mine's long-ish. So what is yours?
It's not like super long. Mine's kind of dependent on the conversation.
Oh, girl, you know.
We're kind of going back to a previous topic, which should probably just give it away.
So I feel like mine is like a more serious, quote unquote, serious topic.
Yeah, no, mine is not as serious.
Okay.
So should we do mine first?
Whichever, yeah, go for it.
And then we can do your more serious one.
Yeah, we gotta get our goofs out, you know?
Get our goofs out. Gotta get those goofs out.
Gotta get our human zoomies just out.
Zoom, zoom.
Zoom, zoom.
Okay, well, we're just talking about cryptids again, so...
I gotta get my notebook with me if I can second. Cryptids, motherfucker.
Laura loves the cryptid episodes.
I do. It's the truth. And I will try my best not to clip my pen for you.
It's okay. We forgive you for your sins.
Thanks. Okay.
Whenever you're ready, Laura.
I am ready.
Alright. Talking cryptids. Good old creatures that we can't prove if they exist or not. This time, I decided to go in the plant direction.
What?
They had some categories on here, so I was like, "Ooh, give me some plant cryptids.
That is cool.
Let's learn about some plant-based cryptids." So, our first one is the Veggie Man. So, the Vegetable Man, or Veggie Man, was said to be very tall, arguably over 7 feet. Thin with a semi-human shape, it has also appeared to be partially plant-based and possessed large ears with striking eyes that oscillated in colors, going from red to yellow rapidly. Its arms were thin and gave the impression of reeds by a riverbank. On the ends of its long fingers were suction cups, which had thorns protruding from them. Laura's laughing because she usually goes in and Googles the pictures, because she typically makes our Instagram posts. And
if you couldn't tell.
More options. I'm gonna say from the way she fucking slams me. If you like, she can see more pictures than I see. I'm only ever given one image. So she sees a lot more images than me, and she usually ends up starting to laugh because she sees a lot of different variations than I do.
There's really, honestly, only like one good picture. Okay. So it's probably the same one, but the suction cup fingers are killing me right now. They're so funny. Of all things.
Yep, on the ends of its long fingers were suction cups, which had thorns protruding from them. So the sighting was in 196. Oh, I'm sorry. That 8 looked like a B. I'm a little zooted. The devil's lettuce has affected us. In 1968, in the woods around Fairmont, West Virginia, Jennings Frederick was out for a hunt. As he moved through the woods in search of game, Frederick heard an odd noise. It sounded like a record player running faster than it should. A sort of high-pitched jabbering. Like Laura and I tend to do. Jabbering. When he tracked down the source of the sound, he came face to face with the creature. Jennings would go on to say that the being looked weakened, sickly. The jabbering increased. Suddenly, he could make out the words. Hints at telepathic communication. That was in parentheses. The words were, "You need not fear me. I wish to communicate. I come as a friend. We know all of you." I'm sorry, we know of you all. I come in peace. I wish medical assistance. I need your help. With that, the creature lunged at him and wrapped Frederick up in its surprisingly strong arms. Frederick was unable to break away from the embrace as the creature pierced his skin with the thorns on its fingers. While it drained blood from him, Frederick found himself enthralled by the flashing colors of the creature's eyes. Then, almost as quickly as it had pounced, the vegetable man raced away up a hill. Frederick then claimed to hear a deep humming from the other side of the hill. He surmised that it might have been the sound of the creature's ship taking off. Implies that he felt the monster was of extraterrestrial origin. To date, the 1968 encounter is the only sighting of the vegetable man. I'm sorry, I was doing really good and then I looked at Laura. Every time I look at Laura and I see her reactions, I just burst out laughing. I can't look at Laura when I read. That's the vegetable man and the sighting of the vegetable man.
See, you were talking about the vegetable man being like, "Oh, I come in peace. I swear." Yet the only picture of him that comes up is of him destroying another man. So.
Oh, that's not the picture I have. Yeah, that's not the picture I have.
Do you have this weird one?
Nope.
Do you have... Which one do you have? Because the rest are also real shitty. Dear Lord, I'm scared what you got going on your screen.
Actually, no, the one I've got is like a pretty interesting rendering.
Well, I'll have to look at the site so I can see that picture as well.
For now, I'll send it to you on Messenger.
Sounds good. I was like, I already know that this cryptid is a lion sack of shit, given that the only picture...
I'm not gonna harm you. Immediately grabs and stabs you with thorns.
What the fuck? Norris definitely looks more alienated, and if I saw that piece of shit saying, "Oh, I come in peace."
But look at his fingers. They don't look like they have suction cups on them in this rendering. This rendering, they just like look like talons.
Yeah, exactly. Hence why I would run. The other one is like he's a tree, basically. With a wild nose.
Alright. You ready for the next one?
I am so ready. Because that veggie man was a veggie vampire.
She does not care for the veggie man. Alright. Our next one is hungry grass. In Irish mythology, hungry grass.
Okay, I was like, wait, am I spelling it wrong?
Hungry grass or in Irish, Fir Gortak, also known as fairy grass, is a cursed patch of grass. Anyone walking on it is supposedly doomed to perpetual and insatiable hunger and a permanent state of weakness while on the grass. Supposedly the state of weakness passes, but the hunger remains. This says Harvey, but I don't know who Harvey is. Suggests that the hungry grass is cursed by the proximity of an unshriven corpse, the Fear Gorda, or maybe a leprechaun. William Carleton's stories indeed suggest that fairies plant the hungry grass. According to Harvey, this myth may relate to beliefs formed in the Irish potato famine of the 1840s, actually caused by fungi. In Margaret McDougall's letters, the phrase hungry grass is, by analogy to the myth, used to describe hunger pains. An alternative version of the hungry grass story relates that anyone walking through it is struck by temporary hunger. To safely cross through, one must carry a bit of food to eat along the way, such as a sandwich or several crackers, and some beer.
Yeah. I'm so terrified of becoming hungry when walking on grass now.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely being sarcastic. That seems like the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. So a quick blurb on the Irish famine.
Oh.
Just a quick paragraph. The Irish famine, or Great Hunger, was a disease that made the hungry grass debatable whether or not it was real or just a superstition. People thought the hungry grass just doesn't eat people, it eats crops too. It wasn't always called hungry grass. People thought that a spirit of a man was, in fact, eating people. The word fear in Irish is both man and grass. So hungry man came to be because they feared him. It was said that if you give relief to hungry man, you will enjoy unfailing prosperity, even during the worst periods of famine and death. Nobody knew what the hungry man looked like, but visitations to Ireland may have given him an appearance. After this, Maxwell, who wrote Wild Sports of the West, made an assumption. I don't know how you relate Wild Sports of the West to fae creatures, but alright. Made an assumption and called this famine hungry disease, which was made by fairies or was grown over by a corpse. Hungry grass was eventually what it was really called because certain grass you stepped on made you faint and keel over. This happened to many farmers and fishermen.
What the fuck? I guess I had misheard. I thought you walk on this grass and you're like, oh, I'm hungry. I need a snack. This grass is making me hungry. How dare it? But apparently it's
no, like that. Yeah, I think it's more, you're now feeling fucking literally famished, starved, like fucking just
gonna die.
And it never
literally
goes away. You're gonna die. Like, you're just gonna die. Yep. So, now you get to be scared of grass.
That's great. And the fact that apparently this happened a lot with people. Walking on grass and dying with farmers and such.
Alright. Our next one. The squash holiger. The squash holiger is a fearsome critter, which is said to be a special variety of squash, as well as a hybrid of pig. They grow just like any other squash on vines, only heaps larger. As they ripen, their eyes and legs come out and their mouth opens, and just before they're ready to walk, a piece of the vine turns into a tail, and then they go away. Their green color helps them hide in the underbrush. They stay around the place and live on bugs and insects. The squash holiger.
Honestly, I kind of want one. There's some depicted pictures of them being kind of cute.
Yeah, the picture that I have, it doesn't look bad. It looks kind of like it'd be an adorable creature. There's a little blurb that says similar story. So in some Romanian mythology, it is said a pumpkin or a watermelon that doesn't rot within a month of its ripening will become a vampire, either growing a mouth and teeth, or using its vine like a proboscis.
Okay. It doesn't really matter how you say it. I don't know what that means. So.
I don't know what it is either. I'm assuming it's just something you stick in and it sucks it out of you.
Yeah, we can use our context clues for that.
That's a squash holiger.
That is quite a weird one. I thought the hungry grass one was the weirdest one, but I think the squash holiger is I kind of want one though.
I kind of want one though.
They're kind of cute.
Like, I'm not against it. All right. The next one is called the Eloko. The Eloko, plural is Beloko, is a dwarf that lives in the forest and is the spirit of ancestors living there. They haunt the forest because they have some grudge to settle with the living and are generally quite vicious. They live in the darkest and densest part of the rainforest of central Zaire, now DR Congo. They ferociously and jealously guard their treasure that are the game and rare fruits of the rainforest. So to survive in the darkest and densest part of the forest, you need to be an intrepid hunter, because successful hunters need to possess strong magic, without which they would never see game at all. The Beloko live on trees and dress themselves with leaves. They are hairless. Instead of hair, they have grass growing on their bodies. They have piercing eyes, snouts with mouths that can admit a human dead or alive. They also have long, sharp claws. They eat human flesh and possess little bells, which cast a spell on a passerby that can only be repelled by wearing an amulet or fetish.
How do you wear a fetish?
Catsuit.
Walking in there with a ball gag. Hello, everybody. This one does not sound fun to mess with.
No.
The other ones I could kind of get down. This one, I think I'll steer clear of.
Yeah, he's a bit creepy.
A bit creepy is an understatement, depending on which picture you're looking at. Although, did you say he was dwarf size?
He's supposed to be a dwarf.
They're
supposed to be dwarves.
That makes it actually.
I saw Henry in the background, other way.
Oh yes, darling, where are you going? Fine.
All right. This next one, it's a very wordy article. Basically, a cow-eating tree.
Cow eating tree.
So, in Roy McCall's book, Searching for the Hidden Animals, his last chapter is entitled The Monstrous Plants. It was not about cryptozoology. It was about cryptobotany, being a short treatise on the Victorian accounts of man-eating plants. As Mackle points out, many zoologists and botanists have been fascinated by plants that eat meat since the days when Charles Darwin was bitten by this interest and wrote a definitive work on the subject, Insectivorous Plants, published in 1888. They talk about coming in contact with some plants that are carnivorous. So little did I imagine that I would run across a news story of a similar nature, but here it is from today. From South India, cow-eating trees of Padrame. So carnivorous trees grabbing humans and cattle and gobbling them up is not just village folklore. Residents of Hadrame near, forgive me, Kokoda in a Biningadi forest range cited one such carnivorous tree trying to dine on a cow last Thursday, October 18th, 2007, according to reports. The cow owned by Anand Gowda had been left to graze in the forest. The cow was suddenly grabbed by the branches and pulled from the ground. The terrified cow herd, ran to the village, and I got Gowda and the band of villagers to the carnivorous tree before the tree could have its meal. Anand Gowda and the villagers struck mortal blows to the branches that turned limp, and the cow was rescued. Yeah, so basically a tree that's trying to eat people and cows. So.
I honestly didn't know there was more than just like one plant that ate meat, technically.
Yeah, there are a couple of
it's like obviously the Venus flytrap, obviously, but like,
well, there's also that plant that it's just a big tube, and flies and bugs crawl down into it, and they can't climb back up the sides because it's slimy. Search like flower that eats bugs.
That is so freaking weird. I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah. The pitcher plant.
No.
Because it literally looks like a pitcher, and they can't climb out of it because the sides are too like slippery and slimy, and they fall down into like this liquid that's down in there. It's usually water from the rain, and then like another liquid from the plant that it creates, and blah blah blah.
So apparently, if you have a fly problem, you just need a couple of these plants.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to spray nothing. You just get these weird, creepy-looking plants, and you'll be good. It's disgusting.
All right, last one. It is Moss Man.
Moss Man?
Yep. Or Peremelphite is a cryptid that has been spotted in and around the state of Florida. It is described as a large humanoid entity, entirely covered in green moss or foliage. Its eyes are amber in color and shine in the night, giving it an eerie stare. It is possible it grew moss-like appendages to blend in with its surroundings to hunt better and or stay hidden, and it's described to be around 6 to 7 feet tall and to be around 200 to 450 pounds.
There's quite a gap of poundage there.
Yep.
That one also makes sense, though. It's Florida.
Makes sense. It's Florida.
It's Florida. It's tropical, and then it's also just Florida for the Moss Man to get you. Good thing I didn't encounter no Moss Man while I was there. Although that would have been cool if I lived to tell the truth. To tell the story. I like the plant ones. They're very odd.
Right? Like, honestly, it's really creepy because to think about a plant that can eat a human.
Yeah.
Like, is like insane to think about. And I saw someone that made a joke in like one of the comments that was like, a vegetarian could never. Like, could you even like conceive of the idea of a plant eating a human? Oh, how the turns have tabled.
Yet again.
All right, Laura, it's your turn. What you got for us?
Hello, lovely listeners. This is editor Kaylee popping in to give you a bit of a fair warning for Laura's section. She did not realize how dark her topic was going to get today. So, listener discretion is very much advised. There are going to be very heavy topics of sexual assault, things like that, really severe topics, guys. Like this episode, this is gonna get dark. If you are not in a good place for listening to something like this, then please feel free to close out now and go listen to something else, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Otherwise, you were warned.
Well, you see, my original topic that fell through was I was reading this article a while ago about this man about 10 years ago who did this stunt of himself being eaten by an anaconda, and then to like bring awareness to the habitat.
There's no justifying that. No, there's no
and all this stuff.
There's no justifying getting yourself eaten by an anaconda.
Yeah. Well, you see, the article is quite short, and so I was looking him up a little bit more today because I liked the article. I was like, that's fucking cool, because he talked about how it was a little bit. But then I also wonder if more than one person tried to do this, because the article that I read was that he was in the belly, and he was able to like muffly talk to the people who are outside, making sure he's okay, and that he doesn't want to give away how he safely got out of the anaconda, because apparently PETA was real pissed at him for doing this to a creature, but he said that he loves these snakes and he would never do anything to hurt it. So I wanted to watch the documentary on how to get out, because he did not want to divulge that information. But then when I went to look up this person, it kind of pissed me off, because apparently he was just fucking lying in that article, or that article was stupid, because apparently he made a documentary called Eaten Alive, when in fact it was like this, like people hated it because he put on this armor suit so that he didn't like break ribs and stuff, and he got like strangulated by the anaconda for a long time, because that's what they do first, and then they start to swallow you. And so he ended up backing out because he felt like his arm was going to break, and so they had to like take this anaconda off of him.
Oh wow! I think I might actually get injured or die from being eaten by this anaconda, guys. I think I should stop. Really? You don't fucking say, you ignorant swine.
So I just wanted to know how he got out, but apparently it just didn't work out, which is kind of good but kind of sad. But what brought me to this is, apparently, have you ever seen the movies, like the anaconda movies?
I've seen like one or two.
They're older,
but yeah, I've seen at least one or two.
I went diving deep into the size of anacondas, and apparently the movies do not portray them dramatically. You know, they are the size they are portrayed as, and I am mind blown.
Oh, you didn't know they get that big? Yeah, they get that big.
No, it was like the biggest one that they could find is like 33 feet long and 3 feet wide in some areas, and I'm like, what the?
They're fucking ginormous.
I thought they were just being like a little dramatic about it, but apparently not. They what?
They just exist out in the world. She needed a moment. She needed a moment. Oh god, they just exist. Yeah, no, honey, they exist. Usually in like the rainforest and stuff like that, but
right. I just didn't realize that they were that size. However, that's why I didn't bring this topic fully through, because it was a scam. But so the topic I have come up with today. Oh, I got to find the link. I should have done this
while I was talking, at least.
Okay, but I want to talk about the Ant Hill Kids. Have you ever heard of that?
It sounds familiar.
The Anthill Kids is a cult from the 70s and 80s.
Sounding more familiar now.
I think his name is Roch or Roach, but I'm going to go with Roch because I can rhyme it with crotch and it just sounds fun.
I can rhyme it with crotch.
Not playground safe, Mr. Roch. And I'm not going to say his last name because Theriault. But Roch was a man with a mission. Huh?
Terrio?
Theriault. T-H-E with one of those little things on top of it.
Oh.
R-I-A-U-L-T.
Terrio. I know a lot of people with that last name. They don't put the fancy thing over the E, but it's Terrio.
You and Mark are just so good with names.
I only know it because I grew up with people with that last name. That's why I was like, spell it to me. It's basically Terrio. Or Terrio.
Well, I have to question their family tree if you could get me in contact.
No, I don't speak or have any contact with them anymore.
Well, how dare you?
Last I knew them was middle school.
So are you friends on Facebook by chance?
No. No. I didn't really get along with them.
It's because they're from a cult, Kaylee. It's okay.
They were rich, so it would explain some things.
Okay. Well, let's see. So, Roch was a man with a mission to save himself and his followers from the coming apocalypse. As a child, Roch dropped out of school and started teaching himself the Old Testament. He was convinced that a war between good and evil was about to come, and that this world would bring about the end of the world. And that this would bring about the end of the world. I'm an idiot. Thus, he converted to the Seventh-day Advent. I'm going to send you this article.
Seventh-day Advent.
Thank you. I get nervous. I know what all these words mean, but pronouncing them, I get so nervous.
It's okay.
So, you're going to be my little helper.
She makes me read along so that I can help her.
Thank you. How do you say the last name?
Hold on.
You know the people.
Terrio?
You know the answer. Terrio?
Terrio.
I don't know.
Feels right to you. Yeah, it's Terrio. Okay. Yeah, that's basically Terrio.
Terrio.
He's got a fancy little asterisk over his E, but yeah, it's Terrio.
Terrio.
That's how I've heard it pronounced. So.
Because my mother's name is Terry, and I just put an O at the end.
There you go.
And I can remember it that way. But he joined that church and lived by their rules, which is no tobacco, no unhealthy foods, no alcohol or drugs.
What's really funny about this is I'm pretty sure I just learned about this cult.
Really?
And every time you start telling me about something, I'm like, I just learned about this. And
yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Continue. So much, no Kaylee.
No
so
food.
Great
no alcohol.
That you know everything.
I'm just a genius.
But Terrio was charismatic.
Wow.
A charismatic man. You shut your poor mouth. If I could choke you, I would. A charismatic man, good at persuading others to do his bidding. While organizing seminars for the church, he convinced the entire group of people to quit their jobs and form his religious following called the Anthill Kids, named for their ant-like hard work.
You're going to have to say this word again, Laura. Adventist.
Nah. I think it doesn't say it again and again.
It does. I've looked down. It does say it again. But
yeah, but if I just say church, it gives the same vibes.
Fine.
He was no longer Roch to the world, he was Moses. It was 1977, and Terrio and his followers formed a commune that was free of sin and stood for equality and unity. Of course, just as with every other cult, the good times would quickly come to an end which started when the church, thank you, Kaylee, kicked them out for their weird-ass behavior, which I think is a funny way to put it. Terrio forbid his followers to contact their families, and against the church's rules, developed a drinking problem. Rules for followers became stricter and stricter up until the point where the members were restricted from speaking to each other without Terrio present. The Anthill Kids made their living by selling baked goods. However, apart from the baking, life in the sect, I know, but was a nightmare. Terrio started spying on his followers, and when some seemed not devoted enough, he would punish them. If a person wished to leave the sect, Terrio would become enraged. He would hit them with belts or hammers. He would suspend them from the ceiling. He would pluck each and every hair on their body individually out, and he would defecate on them.
You know, I've always been curious about suspension. Being suspended by your skin. That's a thing.
I don't think I'm curious about it, but
yeah.
I have seen people who do it as a adrenaline mental push
they
or whatever.
Your back, and they put little things through it, and they lift you up using your skin. It's like a whole thing to show and prove how strong your skin is and stuff, and
Ooh. Just gives me the goosies.
Oh, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy.
That's disgusting.
So fucking crazy.
After I read that he plucked each and every hair out of someone's body, that's where I stopped reading, because I was like, this is gonna get good.
And from here on, she's cold reading.
As the well-being of his seminars decreased, Moses Terrio became more and more convinced of his godly delusions. It became apparent to Roach that the world would end in 1979, and drove his commune into the Canadian wilderness, convinced that for some reason God would skip a chance to destroy Quebec. 1979 came and went, but the world did not, surprisingly, end. Terrio explained this away by saying our world and God's world run on different time zones. It's Henry. He's doing shitty things. You better step in. However, this lacking explanation did not stop his followers from romanticizing him and proclaiming him as their absolute leader. In the Canadian wilderness and later the woods of Ontario, his female concubines bore Terrio 26 children.
Goddamn.
Roch, because I have to remember it rhymes with Crouch because I'm not giving him a root. As the ultimate fucked up cult leader, would abuse his children, and welfare authorities would come and take them away. However, the torture did not stop there for the Anthill Kids. When their quote-unquote pappy became angry, he would take on the role of surgeon. The patient would be held down, fully conscious, by the other followers, and Terrio would go to work on them with available kitchen utensils, pliers, or a blowtorch. Most followers lost limbs, teeth, fingers, and toes to this practice.
I'm gonna have to put a warning at the beginning of this fucking episode.
Yeah, so sorry. I should have probably given a warning.
I'm gonna have to put a warning
before we've been talking about it.
So that'll explain why there's a warning at the beginning of this episode.
Henry.
Laura talks about some intense stuff today.
Henry.
Oh, Henry's about to get a beat down.
Get back up there. What are you doing? You can't. Go somewhere else. I don't know how to fix this. Go. Keep going. Go. Keep going. Bitch, don't just freeze. I'll light you on fire. Come here.
Mom.
Come here.
Wow, she's actively trying to light her cat on fire as we're recording.
Come here. He just doesn't like the sound. I don't get too close to him.
Oh, sure.
Just a little singe of the tail, alright? Just kidding. But to proceed on this gory story, there were many other disciplinary practices Terrio used. He forced commune members to break their own legs with sledgehammers, to shoot each other in the shoulders, eating their own and others' feces, insects, and rats. He would nail children to a tree and force other children to throw rocks at them. He would forcibly remove teeth and nails. He would burn his followers by making them sit on lit stoves. He would cut off arms and legs without warning. He made them sit naked in the cold and whip and beat them, and nothing was too cruel for a punishment. How do you have a cult I understand that brainwashing is a thing, but how do you continue to be like, yes, this is what I need?
People are just... I don't know. I really don't know. I think it comes down to some brain chemistry and the level of... Also, you have to keep in mind, a lot of cults tend to go for vulnerable people who don't typically have anybody that can help and save them. They try to take away their necessities, money, things like that.
Yeah, they won't let them communicate with their families. And this was also the 70s and 80s.
Exactly. So it's even harder to keep in communication with your family. And then from there, it's manipulation tactics. And these people are just really good at manipulating people. And then also, you sit there and you go, where am I going to go? And they remind you, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? How are you going to get away?
Nobody likes you. This is the only people that loves you.
Yeah, exactly. If you leave, you're just going to go rot away and die somewhere. It's like, why? What? Like, they just use...
Especially if they use the, we're doing this for Jesus or God or whatever.
Exactly. They go after vulnerable, easily manipulated people. I mean, anybody can be brainwashed into joining a cult. Even the smartest of people can. But especially if you target vulnerable people.
And then you add children into the mix where they don't know any better.
Children, especially that were born into it, and they think this is what the world is like. Because these kids more than likely didn't leave the house very much. And I'm gonna go with they don't know what the real world was very much like, and that this is not normal, and that this is not okay until, if anything, they were much older, if anything. So I just read a line that you're gonna be reading, and yep.
Okay. I
Could have put a warning at the beginning of this episode for sure.
However, Terrio's piece de resistance, it's just in a weird
piece de resistance
because the picture's there, so it's broken up into like 6 different pieces. Piece de resistance came when one of his followers complained of pain in the abdominal area, abdomen. Sorry. Terrio forced her to undress, laid her on the kitchen table, punched her in the stomach, performed an enema by shoving a tube up her rectum, and filled her up with olive oil. Because apparently water is not a thing. Then he cut her stomach open, ripped out parts of her intestines with his bare hands, and he forced another member to stitch her up. This guy is psychotic.
That's not even the line I read, but god
damn. My god.
Oh no, it's then, like after you finish this paragraph, it's like,
oh my god,
it's like one sentence.
I really feel bad for actually bringing this as a topic.
It's too late, Laura.
I didn't think it was going this far, and continues to go this far.
We didn't expect to go down the dark cult route, but we're going. This is what happens when you cold read, Laura.
I wanted to find an interesting one because I was finding these kind of lame ones, and I'm
alright.
So sorry, y'all.
Continue murder and dismemberment.
I will continue because, after he did all that and had someone stitch her up, he then shoved a tube down her throat and made the other woman blow air into it. Unsurprisingly, the woman died the next day. Of course, Terrio as a prophet, had the powers of resurrection. This resurrection consisted of drilling a hole in the dead woman's skull and having every male member ejaculate into it. The woman remained dead.
I did not expect that to be... We're not laughing because it's funny, we're laughing because we're uncomfortable.
Like, what the fuck is happening?
Wow. Oh.
I literally have no words.
No. Today's theory is brought to you by Laura.
Sorry. I also bring you PTSD, agitation,
trauma. You are in a cult, so you should know what to expect for possibilities of how this cult could go. So, this is
I promise. Hey, this is an option. I mean, you're not wrong there. However,
I didn't say we were gonna take this route. We're not gonna take this route. But keep in mind, folks, it's an option.
And we do have quite good imagination, so.
Yeah, we do.
Dear
This
Lord.
next thing you're about to read is the sentence I read, and I went, "Oh, okay." I didn't read any of the other stuff.
Yeah, because that last sentence was wild. But also, this woman remained dead. Like, duh, dude.
You don't fucking say. Yeah, I didn't think having all of the men ejaculate into her skull would be the cure for death, because if it was, fucking let's go. Like,
we'd be doing it, you know? We'd be resurrecting people.
Oh my god.
Gosh, I wonder how many men.
We're almost done with this article.
We'll see. But other victims of Roch consisted of 2 of his own children, one of which he murdered during a failed circumcision, and the other died when Roch left him outside in the middle of a blizzard.
Those are the sentences I read. And I went, oh wow, this guy's fucked. And then you read that paragraph.
All of that?
Oh no.
Oh, this guy
is fucked. Like, he's not fucked. He's fucked.
He's fucked, dude. The fact that he's having no success with these surgeries and then people just keep having them done is... I would just kill myself at this point. Get me out of here. But it took the near-death experience of Gabriel Lavalle to bring to light all of these horrible crimes against humanity. Gabrielle had endured blowtorches held to her genitals, 8 of her teeth taken out, and a hypodermic needle breaking off in her spine.
Oh, that can paralyze you.
I wonder if it did.
Oh, I don't know.
But also a blowtorch held to her genitals? Dear Lord.
Oh my god, seriously, the teeth being taken.
She had tried to escape, but could not live without the cult and went back. Roch took this as a good reason to cut off one of her fingers, nail her hand to a table, and amputate her entire arm. Wow, what a good reason.
With a hunting knife. I'm sorry to steal that from you, but just with a hunting knife.
Not even just a quick... It's like, you're sawing, babe. You're sawing. Of course, Gabriel did not see this as enough reason to actually leave, and took Roch amputating parts of her breasts and smashing her head in with an axe for her to actually flee and contact authorities.
So sad. Like, the manipulation level to go back. Because you have nothing. You have nothing else but this cult. The only friends and family you have are the people that are in this cult. And the fact that you value yourself so little that you would go back because you literally don't see any value in yourself. You don't see any value in your life because, like, you don't have anything else. Oh my god.
And it's also crazy because if she has lived in this cult since she was a kid or something, and whatever, her going into, like, the real world must have been so overwhelming another way, obviously. And, like, and even though her home is shitty, it was still home.
Well, and she understood it. She understood it. And even if it wasn't a pleasant place, she understood how it worked there. And she didn't understand society. So it would be very hard to be able to go back into society or introduce yourself to a completely unknown society.
Yeah, already extremely traumatized.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. She was like, yeah, I totally get why you cut off my arm. Thank you. That's so terrifying to have, like, that brainwashed so incredibly. Oh. But It was 1989, and the Anthill kids were finally free. Terrio was given a life sentence, one he did not complete. In 2011, Moses Terrio's cellmate walked up to the guard station, handed them a knife, and said, "The piece of shit is down on the range. Here's the knife. I've sliced him up." Terrio was 63 years old and did not die as he had envisioned, a prophet sent by God to protect his followers. The weirdest part is that even after all that Roch had done wrong, his sane, quote-unquote, sane followers remained loyal and slaved away to comply with his every whim, even from prison.
Mm-hmm.
It is easy to say that one would never accept being treated this way, but yet these normal, ordinary people endured endless torture from a liar, a mean drunk, and a sadist just because their beliefs matched up with his. It is truly frightening what charisma and religious fervor can make a man.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
Wow, Laura, you really went for it today, man. You really, woo! She got to that one part. She's like, "Nah, this is good. This is great. I don't need to read any more." Laura, you needed to read more. You needed to read at least 2 more paragraphs, and you would have gone, "Oh, this is gonna get
like
dark."
Oh dear Lord! But also, I think I would have been like, Kaylee needs to hear this.
I mean, hey, we're keeping it. We're doing it. We're sharing this with you. I'm just going to put a warning at the beginning of the episode. And you guys will understand why that warning is there. When you get to Laura's section, you're going to be going through the whole episode. And you're like, all right, why'd they put the warning in? Why'd they put the warning in? What's the deal with that? They haven't had a warning on any of their episodes. Then you're going to get to Laura's section and you're going to real time figure out why we put the warning in. Like, Laura, this is pretty dark. This is...
Well, I
That's
apologize
okay.
for
This is
any
very
nightmares to be given, but this is wild. And I do know that they made, like, I think a documentary about this in other cults, so there's wild shit people watch anyways.
There are some wild cults out there. There are plenty that are less aggressive than this one. Still aggressive.
It is true, but I was
aggressive,
reading ones that were kind of like boring, and then I was like, oh. And then this one got too interesting, maybe.
You found an interesting one, all right.
Maybe.
You found a really interesting one. You know what? That's what matters, Laura. That's what matters. You brought us a really interesting topic. You may have traumatized a few people, but it's okay. Okay.
What shall our warning be? Because it can't just be warning. It has to be warning. Gore. And
warning.
Trauma.
I don't know. I'll probably just be like, warning. This episode, thanks to Laura, contains some graphic topics.
Content. Okay.
Murder. Dismemberment. A lot of bad shit. Just a lot of bad shit. Just
bad
shit, man. Just be warned when it's Laura's section.
I am so sorry.
It gets dark, man. It gets dark. It'll probably be something like that, you know? Like, it gets dark, man. It gets fucking dark.
Well, that was fun.
That was so
fun.
Much fun. Oh my God.
So fun.
So fun.
The most lighthearted I've ever felt. You know? All day.
And we just
ever
ended with a dark topic.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's rough. Oof,
yeah.
Makes me heebie-jeebies.
You know, when you told me it was gonna get dark, I was like, alright, yeah, it probably won't be too bad, but no. It got dark.
It got, like, ejaculation in the skull dark, so.
He drilled a hole in her fucking brain and had a bunch of members ejaculate into that hole. He looked at these men and these men went, yeah, no, that makes sense.
That
makes so much sense. Why
my ejaculation is so powerful?
Scientists and doctors not discovered that all it takes is a shit ton of male semen in the brain.
In the brain. Also, I'd assume that they are fucking this hole in her skull. So also they are just
that,
destroying
or they're literally all
brain.
just standing in a circle, jerking themselves off and coming into the hole.
They're a bunch of like synchronized swimmers. Just go woo, woo, woo.
All right, guys, I'm close. Let me get at the hole. Sticks the tip in, and
you're next. And then they all give each other high fives.
I'm sorry.
Why?
So
I wonder why it didn't work.
Fucking. Oh my god. All right. Well, that's the episode, folks. That's how we're ending it. We're ending it on a really, really high note.
Really high note. I was gonna say if there's anything in here that can lighten it up, but
no, Laura. No. Yeah.
It's really not looking like.
Yeah. No. No.
So sorry, my bad.
No. Anyways, if you want to hit us up at all, you can hit us up on our social medias. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it's at Chaos and Cats Pod. YouTube, it's at Chaos and Cats Podcast. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can hit us up on our emails, which is chaosandcatspodcast@gmail.com.
And at this point, you should probably have some concerns, so.
Yeah, you probably should.
You're all right, man.
You should definitely have some concerns at this point. So that's it. That's how we're doing it. Goodbye.
Goodbye.